Hi, welcome back. Ahmad Bateman, Korn Ferry Tour winner, and now coaching many of the top juniors and amateurs and pros here in Thailand. I've had a number of requests to show how my subconscious swing trainer works, something I use with a lot of my students and myself over the years. So today I'm going to show you the different parts of the machine and give examples of when we use them. So normally I have my machine sitting something like this near the lesson tee. Sometimes it's on there most of the time. If not, I just kind of bring it over to the mat or the lesson tee, plop it in place, nice and light, nice and solid. This is the base unit that I'll have ready to go, not too scary for my students. And most of everything that we're going to need is close to being ready to go. So show you how everything gets set up and how we use each different obstacle or guide on the machine. Okay, here we go. Get started. Very important to have the ball in a consistent position, as precise as you can. So we're going to get first thing out. As I mentioned in the previous article, everything's color-coded, so easy to find if you're new to using this. Put this down. We'll pretend I'm using my 7-iron. Want it at 0. Slide that to the right spot. My 7-iron. There's our spot at the 0 point. Everything on this machine's measured from this point, ground level, back edge of the golf ball at 0, 0, 0. If you remember our fun math classes, X, Y, Z. So X, Y, and Z, how I graph everything, how I know where everything's at. So be consistent. All right, so we've got that. Now we want we'll go with the first obstacle. Let's say we have a student hitting it on the heel / shanking it. We have our anti-heel obstacle. Put that there. We slide it up to the right position, right there. Take your golf club. Put that there. We'll slide this over. You can get it as tough as you want, as tough or as easy as you want. Okay, and that's too tough. You slide it back. And again, I have these marked for myself already, so I know where my 7-iron would be. So I strike it in the center of the club. I'm not going to take that. Hit it on the heel a little bit. We get the ball out of the way. Window behind the drape. So we hit it a little bit out there. We're going to move the feedback device. Pretty simple, very effective, and it scares the golfer into doing the right thing as well as keeping an eye on that. All right, now I'd like to keep this one here just as an easy guide, so you don't have to keep popping this back to find the right position. If you can slide it back a little bit, and you know, okay, next shot, ball goes there, ball goes there. Just pretty simple. All right, next one. Say you have a student or yourself hitting it consistently on the toe. We have our little anti-toe device. You get here, kind of measure again how difficult or easy you want to make that. Go a little bit more. See, I don't want to hit it. I want to make sure it's in the center of the club or touch on the toe. Right here, so we go through without hitting it. If we hit it on the toe a little bit, that's going to, feedback device is going to tell us, hit it on the toe. Very simple. All right. Okay, next, we'll get our ball back there. Our anti-heel tells us where to put that ball, right there. Okay, blue and red, blue pole. Pop that in there, slide that over. Kind of obvious, this one, I think. We've used towels and string and whatnot, all the coaches and most of the golfers out there. Anti-heavy, anti-fat. Again, start fairly easy. You can hit the ball and take a divot without hitting the board. Keep going. So my 7-iron, I'll go generally right about there. It's, you don't need to get right next to the ball because the width of the sole of the club needs some room to get down there, and if it's very, very tight, you're going to need to hit the bottom of the club anyway to actually hit the ball first. Most people don't. So you can move this forward, back. You'll hear it, maybe feel it, hear it if you hit it heavy. So again, kind of aversion therapy helps to not do that and gives you feedback when you do hit it heavy. Pretty basic one there. All right, next, the spinner. This one I've used a lot with a lot of my students. Pretty common with amateurs to be going outside in, over the top, slicing, classic slice, pull iron slice woods one. This is a spinner. This makes sure that your club is coming from the inside. You can slide it up and down, get a little bit lower, get up. So if you'd like to take it back a little straighter, it's not in the way. So generally I'll try and get it from my students. Move this a little bit more. About there where the back edge of the obstacle is right in line with the center of the ball and your target. So this, if you miss the spinner, hit the ball in the middle of the club face, you have to come from the inside to do it. Again, kind of forces the student, the golfer, to do that as well. And if you don't, you hit that, you'll spin up or spin around. Again. So again, fairly simple. Swing from the inside helps get rid of the outside in one. Apologies for the tight indoor quarters here during our COVID lockdown, but making the best we can. All right, next one. Very common fault amongst golfers, moving the head backwards, either too much on your setup, on the backswing, or something I was guilty of moving it on the downswing. A little bit of reverse with the head on the downswing. So pop that one in, our right ear obstacle I call it, and then this can be adjusted sideways to wherever you need it. You want to put it right next to your student's ear. Figure out where that's at. I already know where mine are, so I'll just slide them to that. Adjustable both on the top and the bottom here. Grab my 7-iron. Should be the right place. Alright, and again, once you see it, everything looks pretty complex till you see it in action, and pretty logical, I think, and fairly simple on how they work. Basically, you don't want to be somewhere, or you don't want your club to be somewhere, you put something there. Help you to avoid it, and give you feedback when you don't. So you go here, swing, don't bump. If you bump into it, you'll feel it, you'll hear it. Okay, then swing through it. Don't bump into that. One thing I will use this one, I've tried to design something for your left ear. It's pretty close to impossible. For the players that sway that way or slide that way with their head on the downswing. Not too many of those, but a few. So for them, we'll use it where you have to stay on it as you hit the golf ball. You're actually trying to keep touching that on your downswing. So different ways to use these when the need arises. Okay, next, in conjunction with our right ear obstacle, slide that one down a little bit behind the head. This is for those of us guilty of get that set to my spot here. And again, with you or your student, you figure out where you need to be. Everything's marked. Figure out what the numbers are. What I like to do is just put little Sharpie dots on there. Mark it with different colors. So my 7-iron's green, easy to find. I don't need to go look at my sheet of paper and go, oh, okay, that's 67 inches. So a little easier and quicker that way. So we'll get this out, and early extension, that one. That's another pretty common fault. even among pretty good golfers. So we get this set up, goes right behind my head, make my swing. If I try and go forward with my hips and back with my head, I'm going to feel it back there. You swing through, stay there, and you go ahead and follow through and finish there. So helps keep your head from popping backwards during the swing. Okay, next, now for those golfers guilty of casting or throwing it from the top, have our little angle of attack, high jump I call it with my junior students. Set it at the proper height, right about there for my 7-iron, about 14 inches. Okay, get my 7-iron. So, go back. Should miss it going back. You hit it, no big deal. Goes right through it. We want to miss that coming down. Alright, we make a good swing like the best players in the world do. Should miss it coming down here if we're maintaining the angle, the lag well enough into the shot. We don't. If we cast it, we're just going to zip right through that straw. You'll know it, you'll feel it, you'll hear it. So you get feedback on whether you're maintaining that angle well enough into the golf ball. Okay, now we get to the backswing and the takeaway. Our first thing we need to do, we need to extend the blue pole. So we have a blue extension here. There we go, and set this. This slides back and forth, this slides back and forth. We'll set that. For my 7-iron, again, you figure out with your coach or for your student where do you want to be, and everything slides around. Any club in the bag, chipping, full sand wedge, through driver, tall adults, short kids, adjust for everyone. Alright, now we get our red hole. Right there. Red to red. And the red and yellow one, this is our backswing stick. This one infuriates a lot of my students, so I love it. Okay, we'll throw it in there, get it right set for me. Again, it goes up and down, forward and back, so you did whatever club, you can set it just where you want it. Okay, and we got my 7-iron. So this helps with a really common fault. Laying that club off on your takeaway, on your backswing, getting too flat. Pretty much everyone that plays golf for a living, makes money playing golf for a living, is here on the way back. Great checkpoint is club's parallel to the ground, it's pointed straight at that target. If you check out videos of your favorite golfers down the line, make sure the camera angles are correct. It's amazing how consistent that is. You'll have a few outliers like Matthew Wolf and guys, but for most of the standard great golf swings, it's right there. So we set it, so I'm going to miss that on the way back. Now, a lot of my students will cheat on that. They'll just kind of go out here, throw their hands out here, disconnect. We don't want to do that. So, we have the straw. And this is unique. Again, I'm just setting it for myself. Okay, I got my green marks on there. Again, for your student, to figure out where you want to be, where's too much. This is unique. It's the only part of the machine you're supposed to hit. Alright, took me a while to figure out how to do this. Couldn't get anything I'm missing because you'd need to go through that space on the way down. So finally realized, well, let's get something we need to hit. Alright, pop that baby back up. And right there, you can see how easily that gets knocked over. Okay, so we want to hit the straw. This is one I've used a lot with student world #1 TK. Hit the straw, miss the stick. All right, and we're in our what we want: steeper backswing, shallower downswing. Human beings work in ellipses, and circles. We're not robots and machines. We're everything same, one plane, one plane. Human beings and racehorses and cheetahs don't work that way. So I want to be here, through the straw, miss the stick, you got a good chance of being in the right place on the way back. Okay, we have one dual purpose unit as well. Alright, the straw we've already learned, we use that for the takeaway, help make sure we're not sneaking outside or disconnecting there on the takeaway. But for very few middle and high handicappers have this problem, but a lot of good players, pretty good players, and good juniors especially, have this problem. If you're plagued by blocks and hooks, you're most likely getting too shallow, too deep, stuck back here. This is something Tiger had when he was younger as well. So you get in here and you don't release, goes way right, you do release, you get the hook. So this one, we want to hit it going back, as we learned earlier. We do not want to hit it when we come down. Alright, so if we get too shallow in here, you're going to hit the straw. It's designed to slide on over if you do that. Had one explode on me. Here, boom, too much. Alright, so we want to be, and again, look at your favorite golfer's swing on video. You'll see this. You're just going to be right about here. Not going to be way in here. Maybe Rory's the most inside. I think he's got about 5-degree inside out rightward path through the ball. He's going to be right about here. Still going to miss this. So set it up properly. Use it for yourself or your student. Get it just in the right place. Going, yeah, right here is where we want to be, but not here. That's where you put the straw. Alright, moving right along, and now we get to the nitty-gritty of lower bodies. We have one more main pole, the pink one, to put in there. Right there. This one, find pink, match up pink, match up the blue lines on there. This one, we want to use a T to keep it from spinning from the weight of two of these here. So the first thing we'll do with this one, foot placement guide. Very, very important. If I mentioned in another video, if I do something over again when I was on tour, when I was hitting it really well, playing really well, I wish I had measured where the ball placement was. Where was I playing it? How far away, how far forward, you know, with short club, medium club, long club, so I could go back to that when I wasn't hitting it well, I wasn't playing well. Kind of have a template for that. And that's what this does. So if I was a teenager again, starting all over, or could go back in time and give myself something, I would have the whole impact setup, anti-heavy, anti-toe, anti-heel, and these, and I just, every ball I hit on the range pretty much would be with that. I'd make sure be in the right place. Now I've already set this to my 7-iron numbers. You know where it's at. It moves forward, back, in, out. This adjusts for your feet. So I want to use my heels. I always felt like your heels are a more accurate measurement than your toes. Right? If I wear a size 7 shoe or I wear a size 13 shoe, well, that's going to versus someone wearing a 13. Well, we could be standing in the same spot and get completely different measurements. So for gathering empirical data of good players, I go with the heels, right? That's where we're connected to our body at our heels, so that's going to be more consistent. So this measures up, so we get the inside here, that's where my feet go every time. So we want that to be consistent. One of the cornerstones to being a good, solid player consistently is maintaining ball position. That's one of the first things when players are off, when tour players are off, usually alignment, ball position, something in the setup, and it's usually the first two, one of the first two. Okay, next, brought you in a little bit closer to be able to see this better, hopefully. Alright, we're going to get the right hip obstacle. Alright, again, fairly simple. I have a nice, Mr. Lee, one of my students, great suggestion, said, I'd feel it better if it was a little sharper, so we have a nice sharp T on there. little more feedback on whether you're touching that or not. Okay, so set up, it's all set up for my 7-iron. Again, give yourself a little bit of room, inch or two. Make your takeaway backswings. Again, this is a really common bad habit amongst amateur golfers, sliding the hips on the backswing. We go here, we know it. After a while, your body gets tired of bumping into that tee. Make a nice solid turn on the backswing, just like the tour players. Okay, next, left hip obstacle. Kind of just like the name implies. Pop it in there. Again, these can all slide this way. The whole thing can slide this way. This can slide up and down. Figure out where you want it for you or your student. We get set there. And again, I think fairly obvious, and this is a pretty common habit, even amongst my super juniors. You'll see this fairly regularly. Just kind of sliding everything over. Right? There's too much lateral movement in the swing. So you do that, you're going to bump into that. Make a nice turn. Not going to bump into the left hip obstacle with your knee or your hip. Okay, next. Anti-over swing. Just as the name implies. Pop that in there, match up the colors. Get that up to the height we want. The green dot for my 7-iron. Okay. We get set up. Nice and solid where we want it, wherever you're setting that up. Don't bump into that with your right arm. You get a little too far, you're going to feel it. You get the feedback of if we go too far. This is one that most golfers, and a lot of you are already aware of this, have the hardest time feeling. They bet the house that they're swinging right here, and it's still, trying to break my window, still over here somewhere, the arm's still behind there. Personally, I think a little extra rest, no big deal, but you don't want your arm disappearing from caddy view camera. You have part of it with your driver, but the irons, you want to still be able to see that back there. So there's a good checkpoint for overswing or not. All right, next. This one's a fairly rare one with my students, but I needed it. It was a big thing for me. So I've included it with it, even though it's kind of rare. It attaches to the anti-over swing one. I'm going to set this up to my spot right there. Okay, spot that up a little bit. Left knee obstacle. The name them where it's pretty easy to figure out what's going on. Okay, again, we set up. Set up position. I had a tendency of really getting that knee collapsing on the backswing too much. So again, keep it fairly solid. You're not going to bump into it. Starts floating around too much, you'll feel it move it there, so you get the feedback on whether your knee is doing what you want it to. Okay, next, again, another one of my favorites, the fishing pole. This is one I used to use string back when I was playing on tour to do this. This is again something to help with the downswing playing. If you've been paying close attention, pop that in there. Right there, and paying close attention. I have several things that help you with downswing playing. All right, and we need to remember the straw. We're gonna one more thing for that straw. So again, this is pretty simple. We go back here. We get out too much, too steep, too outside. We're gonna run into that, into the fishing pole. You actually set it for my position here. Okay. You go here, get in position, boom, no problem. Get a little too high or outside, and hit the fishing pole. Okay, another good one for downswing playing. Again, I have several, it's really important, several ways to do this. I always felt it's good to have different strokes for different folks. So we use the angle of attack pole. And then this pops right in here. Black and neon, black and neon. We go right there. I already have it set for my 7-iron again. Longer it goes, this goes up and down. Set it for wherever you want, whatever club you want. Different students. Okay. We go here. Again, should miss that coming back easily. Okay, here, and again, we get out too much, too high, up through the shoulder, through the neck, where you see a lot of amateurs fighting slices and things. We get too high, that just pops right off. Alright, trying to make everything as user-friendly and safe as possible. So we get into our golden position right here, where club's pointed above or past the golf ball, and you're splitting your bicep on the way down. Camera's a little off where you're at there. Hopefully it still looks like that. That's kind of our golden position. Really good checkpoint for that. Plane pull. Alright, golf fans, last one. Again, one of my favorites, the XMaker. Alright, goes on the red pole. We need to put a tee into the red pole, make sure it stays stable. Pop that up to our 7-iron position. There she is. Okay, we get big straw. 7-iron. Pop that in. Alright, again on one of my favorites. Set that at 0. Draw nice and straight. And there. Okay. XMaker. Alright, you watch pretty much nearly every great player, every top player. Backswing's going to be steepish. Downswing's going to be shallowish. Maybe not the Shambo, but pretty much everyone out there. Alright, so we get set up. Here, we won't get into why that is, but if you look at all the top players, you will see that this position is more upright than that position, especially with irons and wedges. So, miss it this side coming back, miss it that side coming down, hit the golf ball, easy peasy. If we don't, if we kind of come out here, we're going to hit the straw, move through the straw, you're going to feel that, hear that. Get feedback on whether or not you're shallowing it out as much as you think you are. And that's one of the big advantages to this, is you're knowing whether you're doing what you're trying to do or what you think you're doing, rather than hoping or thinking that you're doing it. You get absolute feedback. You don't come back a week or a month later and go, oh, gee, I fell into my old habits. First time you don't do it, you know. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, I'll try and answer them all. Thank you.